Good evening. It's not morning, it's evening, which is different for me. And welcome to My Left Ear. It's January 12th, and this is video 72. My Left Ear, this is called Things Are Heating Up. This is what this video is called. I do political and psychic commentary and a few other things that come at the end. And what do? I'm a change agent, meaning that I help people through psychic coaching and hypnotherapy, etc., etc. And I do therapeutic hypnosis, and I coach writers and performers. And I write. I've written 2 books. Okay, this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, I'm going to turn on my little, got this little fan here, because for whatever reason I feel a little warm. So here we go, and I did some runes. I have some runes for you. I'm going to start with Joe Biden's speech yesterday in John Lewis's district of Atlanta, Georgia. It was a very passionate speech, dare I say, a little bit too late. Like, I wish he had done this sooner, but he is an institutional guy, and he has believed in the filibuster and all this kind of stuff. And we're talking about voting rights. I mean, he was talking about voting rights and very passionate about it. I think even 5 months ago, he was very neutral on the filibuster and didn't want to mess with it because he's likes the institutions. But I think he wasn't registering his opponents properly. I think sometimes there's I'm going to get horrible letters, but I love him, so there you go. I think there's a little foresight sometimes that isn't there. That said, because, you know, he's dealing with in his head, he's so used to the old GOP that I think this has been probably very difficult for him to comprehend how much things have changed. People really liked that he was outraged. They liked that his voice was strong, and I'm fixing my Zoom here. And that, you know, he's angered, impassioned, and he admitted that quiet diplomacy is not working anymore. Now, My Left Ear loves that he brought up arresting people for handing out water. And honestly, I would love to go to Georgia during the election in 22 and hand out water and get arrested. I would love to get arrested for handing out water. I was even thinking about trying to find some donors to do that. And that was a little nutty, but that activist in me came out, you know, and he did a good job. Biden did a good job of playing up how absurd it is that it's illegal to hand somebody a bottle of water. Just freaking amazing. Some pundits on the news suggested that Joe's speech was meant for Manchin and Sinema. I think it was broader myself, but he did, you know, there were these things that he slipped in that I thought were really clever, where he just said there's just too many presidents right now. And I know I have referred to Joe Manchin as, you know, the guy who thinks he's president or wants to be. So, you know, we've got 2 Democrats, 2, that could really solve the voting rights issue. Boom, it would be over and it would go away. Just like the debt ceiling. They did the debt ceiling. I did some runes on this. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, some say, when I was watching the news, that Joe Biden actually knows that voting rights is going to fail, that underneath there's no way to know that. But politicians just keep going as if they're winning. I mean, that's what they have to do. Now, I'm going to talk about foresight, the ability to see what the next thing should be, or You know, like the Stoics, always like, let's imagine the worst outcome, let's imagine the best outcome. And I'm not sure whether Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the advisors are putting together a plan B. Should the voting rights fail? Should the filibuster fail? Now, the DOJ is set up to act on the illegalities of voting. That's good. That's good. And I know Merrick Garland just set up a commission on the factions of white supremacy that are happening everywhere. But we'll see. I did a Rune on, is there a plan B? So I'll get into that in a few minutes. So the question is, if the worst happens, what can Biden do? And I don't know. People had said, can he distribute financial consequences? That doesn't quite feel like Joe Biden. Can he utilize the BBB, Build Back Better, on some level, the human infrastructure? Now, also missing in attendance that everybody was talking about were Stacey Abrams, some civil rights groups, and progressives. People read a lot into that. It's okay. Joe just persevered. We don't know what we don't know. So here's the first Rune that I did. I did quite a few Runes. And the question for this set of Runes was, what will happen with the filibuster? So here's what I got. Oh my God, this just keeps happening to me. I'm so sorry. It's just such a sensitive computer. What will happen with the filibuster? The first Rune I got was the self. And the self is about willingness to change. It says willingness to change is at hand. A time for major rectification before progress. Okay, so we got to pay attention to that. Before progress. Quoting the book, the field is tilled before the seed is planted. Be vigilant, not careless. Then I got the Rune for gateway. And gateway says there is work to be done both inside and out. This is a gateway between heaven and the mundane. And truly it is kind of, it's like very earthbound, human, mundane, and then there's a whole higher level to what's going on right now, I believe. So it is a Rune of non-action, but we are stepping through the gateway now. Then the last one of this was signals. Signals about receiving messages. A timely warning may be a gift. It says, expect the unexpected, which is kind of fun. And there was something new that came across the news earlier today, and I'm going to read it to you verbatim in a minute. So signals is receiving messages, a timely warning is a gift, and it will result in a new sense of solidarity with the family, and that would be the Democrats. So whatever happens is going to bring the Democrats closer. It's going to strengthen them should we have to fight, and we probably will more. But this is what showed up today. This just in, I'm reading it. Looks like leader Schumer found a loophole to bypass cloture on a motion to proceed to have a debate on voting rights. Now, previously, the GOP refused to even debate, but he's trying to work through that and making a debate possible. So the Democrats would still need to change the filibuster rule to end the debate with 51 votes, but at least we get a debate. Progress is progress. Now, I looked on Google, and I have to admit to you, they went into detail about this loophole, and I didn't completely understand it. So we just have to keep looking, and it might have taken up the whole session here if I had really torn it apart and looked at everything. But let me just say, something is up. Schumer's not giving up. He's trying something new. Fingers crossed. My next Rune. It's kind of connected to the filibuster, right? What is the destiny of voting rights? Now, I really don't like telling you this, but I want to be honest, because when I give you good news, you can accept the good news. Every single Rune was in the reverse position for this question. really interesting. So I got the rune of signals reversed, and it says concern over failed communication, lack of clarity. The message, what is happening is timely. Consider the use of adversity. And it brings up the question, how will the Democrats polarize and fight? Then strength, the rune of strength reversed. And it says, a missed opportunity, weakening of position. And I didn't write everything that's there because it's so obvious. So this is simpler. Then the third rune reversed was fertility, which is normally really great. And it says, may be called upon to undertake a radical departure from old ways. So the voting rights, it doesn't feel good to me. I mean, you know, I want to give good news. And I know that some other readers are saying somehow this is going to get done. I really want to be wrong. But this was powerful, these runes, all reversed, like really sending a message. If this kind of goes south, filibuster, voting rights, and we don't get this pushed through, I know that the Democrats are going to get closer, more powerful, and there's going to be solutions and actions and polarization in a good way. I do want to say that because I don't want to be a bummer tonight. The runes again, I just sort of did bump, 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 bump. Is there a plan B if we lose voting rights? And I wrote, not really. I just don't think they've gone into a plan. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. So I got gateway, the rune of gateway, and it says work to be done both inside and out. I got the rune defense, and it says even a delay may prove beneficial. Do not act needy or impatient. Through inconvenience and discomfort, oh my God, you bet, growth is promoted. Now here's the tough one that says this voting rights is really tough. I got the rune of stand still, and it's just like, it's like a pole. You know, it's kind of bleak, this rune, and it does say, winter of spiritual life is upon you. Positive accomplishment is unlikely now. And I wrote, work is cut out for the Democrats. And my left ear said, this is a reawakening. That's what I want you to take with you. This is a reawakening rather than, wow, that was a bummer tonight. It's a reawakening. It has to be, right? It has to be. My left ear thinks that Georgia will drop the first indictment. But I did the runes, and the runes don't think so. They say that Georgia, I might remind you, this is the phone call Trump made to Brad Raffensperger, I think that was his name, secretary, who counted the votes, and talked to him for an hour and tried to extort him and bully him into coming up with 11,000 votes for Trump. So the quick answer, I lost my, is that will drop. Georgia will drop, but it may not be the first indictment. However, let's not forget that my left ear kind of disagrees with the runes here, so we'll see what happens. But it's going to happen. That's the good news. He's going to get that indictment for what? Voter fraud, all kinds of things he even extorted the guy. And then the last rune, which is a goodie, will Merrick Garland step up? And here's what I noticed. When Merrick Garland made a speech, I think it was right after my last video, it was a long speech, longer than I would have expected. And it was, for him, it was pretty passionate. But I noticed something after that day, because that same day Joe Biden made a great speech. On Twitter, because I really get a vibe, I get an energy read from going through Twitter, is that, this is so weird, but this is my left ear. People felt more anxious after Merrick Garland made the speech. And I think the lack of specificity is part of the reason. He talked in general, reassuring terms. And it sounded good at the time. But people went, wait a minute, I didn't really get any answers from him. So this is good, all right? These runes are good, so let me share it with you. The answer is yes, he's gonna step up. So the first rune that came up was constraint. The need for constraint is unquestionable now. There's a little bit of a holdup of plans. Therein lies the wait, we've been waiting. Then we got warrior, about funding a will through action. That's what we want, action. Funding a will through action. It's about cutting away the old and revealing character. They're just cutting away what we don't need, and they're making sure that everything is just right. Then movement, it just couldn't be better, movement. So it talks about physical shifts. Now there's New York, there's DC, there's Georgia, and there's even physical shifts. I'm saying like, okay, one location is a courtroom, another location is a jail. So it says physical shifts. And then revealing character. It's cutting away the old, revealing character. Well, certainly charges that are going to come against Trump and others are going to reveal character, which is what the rune said. And then movement, like I just said, improving and bettering a situation. It says face the future reassured. So that was the last rune I pulled, and I'm glad that I'm able to deliver something positive about Merrick Garland, because people are just in the dark. We're all kind of in the dark. Now I'm moving on, different subject. You probably read or heard through Rachel Maddow, who really launched this story through Politico, that there have been forgeries with the electoral votes. It's just unheard of, but there it is. Fake documents declaring Trump and Pence the 2020 winners was sent to the National Archives, and the National Archives rejected those documents. So I'm just going to read, I copied something right off. It says, according to Politico, the false certificates of discernment were sent from Arizona and Michigan groups, but they were instead turned over to the January 6th committee. And that's how this came about. This is thanks to Rachel Maddow and Politico. So they've discovered forgeries in 5 states for sure, but it might be 7. I researched it. I couldn't get that solemn answer, but 5 states are involved. And they know and they can tell it was a coordinated effort because all the documents match. The same fonts, the same wording, the same spacing. So I looked up what penalties can come about. And that wasn't really clear either, but I'll give you an idea of what I found. That if proven, or when proven, I think I'd rather say that, fines, they will be fined, and those fines will be paid to the Treasury, and each individual can get 5 years in prison, up to 5 years. That doesn't seem like enough to me, but it's something. Now, Mark Meadows knew all about the forgeries and approved them. So keep that in mind. No wonder he doesn't want to show up. Now, this is brand new as of this afternoon. Kevin McCarthy is being called by the January 6th committee to voluntarily appear and answer questions. Now, we know he doesn't want to do that. He's going to fight. he knows maybe more almost than anybody about January 6th and leading up to it and the days following. Now, the big thing, the reason they really want McCarthy is that Trump admitted privately that he knew who was responsible, that he knew that Trump, was responsible for January 6th. Like, it got communicated, and Kevin McCarthy is a witness to him saying that he was partially responsible. I don't think partially, but that's kind of what they're saying. Now, the next cool thing is that Trump attorneys traveled to Georgia to have a private meeting with the AG, Fani Willis, about that 1 hour phone call that he made to obstruct and extort. And like I said, I think that indictment may drop first, but I could be wrong, but it's going to drop. That's the good news. It's going to drop. Georgia's totally going to go after him, and it's a really good case because they've got that recording. Trump, I don't know if you heard this, but Trump is suing New York's Letitia James, AG, because she's filing a civil suit against him. The other part of SDNY is criminal. She's filing civil, but she's working with the criminal department. So his attorneys went and made in front of a judge about this civil suit that he's filing against to try to prevent it from being thrown out. And it is reported that they just made a fool of themselves, that the judge wasn't buying it, she wasn't having it. And my left ear is pretty sure that this lawsuit against Letitia James is going to drop. I mean, it's going to go. It's not going to exist. It's just frivolous lawsuit because they're scared and they're trying to make it, string it out. That's what they do. You know that. So that's really going to go nowhere. It was very clear what the judge was just not into it with Trump's lawyers. And let me just say that I don't know who they are, but don't we just think they're probably really middle-level attorneys who want to be near power? I mean, I just don't think he has a crackerjack team. And now we're going to go into Matt Gaetz, because we haven't heard anything about Matt Gaetz in a while. And let me just remind you, almost everybody knows, but the congressman is under federal investigation for sex trafficking a minor, bringing a woman across state lines for prostitution, and obstructing justice. And it might be more than one woman, bringing women, okay? So the three areas of criminality would be sex with a 17-year-old, transferring a 17-year-old girl to the Bahamas, for having sex. And this is a possible violation of the Mann Act, which is basically transporting a minor for prostitution. And then the last one is obstruction of justice. His ex-girlfriend may have helped him. She may have helped him with obstruction, but now she's cooperating, so she's receiving immunity. And when there was a phone call that really illustrated Gaetz' obstruction, another woman recorded that phone call. So that's on record. Now, as of today, we learned that Matt Gaetz' former girlfriend, and they're not giving her a name, who has an immunity deal because she could get indicted also, but not now, testify before a federal grand jury investigating the Florida GOP congressman for these sex crimes. Now, his investigation has gone slower than we would have wanted because the witness named Joel Greenberg is what they call problematic. I mean, he is really a criminal and a liar and all this, and he's got all the goods on Matt Gaetz. And my left ear thinks he's probably telling the truth, but he could be torn apart in a law on the witness stand. And so they have to find more evidence, not just Joel Greenberg. So this ex-girlfriend, evidently is an online sex worker or porn person. And they were in an open relationship, polyamorous relationship, must have been wild. And she's a first-hand witness. Now, Gaetz has not been charged yet, but they think it's coming, okay? I think it's coming too. My left ear thinks it's coming too. They're on it, you know what I mean? They're on it. This is not gonna go away, especially now, if the ex-girlfriend testified in front of a federal grand jury. So he's been acting very cocky, but he's not gonna be cocky forever. Now, my left ear, Trump, due to his numerous investigations, Trump is setting up the next riot, and he's doing it right now. He's getting scared. He's very angry that the law is after him from all these different directions, and he's working at activating his base again. He wants people to riot on his behalf. So he's come out with some really insane, well, they're not tweets, they're rants. I don't remember how they end up being seen, but he's accusing the Democrats of every single thing the GOP has actually done. It's amazing. It's the most classic form of projection, that all they want to do is put people in jail, that they're violent, that they're communists. It's just amazing. He's going nuts. So it's kind of a good sign. I wish a judge, once an indictment drops, my wish is that some judge would put a gag order on him and just make him shut up. And that would help a lot. So that's my wish. So next riot. And then we're coming to the end here. There was a rumor, it's just crazy. The right created this rumor that the FBI was behind January 6th, and they were there on the ground directing people. But the January 6th committee has completely debunked that. But that was roaming around for a while. So that's a lot that I crammed in today, and it took me a long time to put this together, actually. Just a pinch of good evidence. I don't have like a lot tonight, but when I painted the walls, of course, I moved all the furniture, and when I put everything back, I couldn't find my evidence book. Now, I was also almost at the end of it, but I wasn't, and it was I had many entries in it that I just thought were juicy, and because I'm working on the new book, I was like, I didn't throw it out, but where is it? Found it today. It's really exciting when you find things that have been missing, isn't it? Everybody's had that experience. And then a few days ago, no, it was Monday, I did a Zoom from some lovely ladies in Indiana because they had read the evidence book. They had started doing the evidence work. And so we had a great Zoom, and I was their guest host, and we had a great time. Everybody shared, and it was really, really cool. So there you go. And I have quotes. So this quote, I think I shared this with you once before, but I think it's really important now, especially if we might be facing an uphill battle with voting and all that. And believe me, it is an uphill battle. The best way, Barack Obama said, the best way not to feel hopeless is to get up and do something. Don't wait for good things to happen to you. If you go out and make some good things happen, you will fill the world with hope. You will fill yourself with hope. It's a good one, isn't it? You know what it reminds me? I went to my farmer's market on Sunday briefly, and there was a Democratic getting signatures. She approached me, and I wanted to make sure she was Democrat, and she was. And so we got into a nice conversation, and I told her about my YouTube channel. She just was very excited and wrote, "Oh, tell me what it is." Wrote it down, put it in her phone. And I said, she was standing in the hot sun doing this, and I said, "This is so great that you're doing this. Thank you so much." And so that was actually a piece of good evidence, and I forgot to add that. The next quote, is just kind of tough. It's by Frank Sinatra. And he said, wish I could imitate Frank Sinatra, I can't. He said, the big lesson in life, baby, is never be scared of anyone or anything. I just love that. It gives me like cojones. The big lesson in life, baby, is never be scared of anyone or anything. It almost sounds like a line from one of his movies, doesn't it? And then the last one just speaks for itself, and right now it's anonymous. I used to think it was attributed to Joan Baez, but now I don't know. And it's one of my favorites. It's so short. All it says is, action is the antidote to despair. That would be true for our nation and, you know, people who are fighting for rights and freedom and liberty and democracy. Action. But it's also in our private lives and our personal lives when we're in despair that we take an action. We just move. And because I have shared with you, energy begets energy, it almost doesn't matter what you do. You just do something because the energy leads to more energy. So action is the antidote to despair. So no matter what happens, keep action in your back pocket, okay? Or your front pocket. So there you go. I hope this was a little bit interesting. And I want to say, as always, make peace, make memories. And the reason I did this in the evening was I was just hell-bent on doing this video today. And I was working on it all day, and I was working on some other things. I have to get some papers in it's a long story, but I have to get some formal papers submitted somewhere. So I was really tied up with that, and I was tied up with researching and writing this, and I went, I could do it Thursday morning, but you know what? If I do it tonight, I'm gonna feel so good. So I'm doing it tonight, and this is the rare good evening. Welcome to my left ear. So make peace, make memories, and action, and here we go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.